right, folks, thank you so much for tuning into the Silver Stacking Podcast featuring yours truly in the man, the myth, the legendary Andy Shectman, which is the CEO of Miles Franklin. I know you heard about him. Very respected, trusted company. I'm honored to be able to represent them. And right now, our weekly specials are 100-ounce pant bars, $1.89 over spot, and maples, $2.89 over spot. So shoot us an email, info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Slayer sent you. It helps me out. Andy loves to hear it. We got a pretty casual show today. I got a poll from you guys the other day. We'll go over on to share, Andy, the results. Very interesting stuff. Kind of just a laid back, fun type of stream. I hope you guys enjoy. Andy, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How you doing? Yeah, I figured I'd be a little bit more casual today. I was sick and tired of wearing button downs, and I figured if I can
Man,
be myself in front of anyone, it is you, man. But it's good to see
yeah.
you, and good to be back. Yeah, you mentioned those Pamp Swiss bars. Normally, I don't even ever talk to you about the specials, but I will tell you, for people buying 100-ounce bars, they are, in my mind, by far the nicest. They're individually serialized, and they're just the nicest 100-ounce bars in the marketplace, in
Yeah.
my
Oh
opinion.
yeah. Pamp always has very high quality stuff. And those premiums are incredible. Even the maples at 289, you know. Um, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And by the way, I know everyone's gonna comment on your shirt. Do you guys sell those yet? Or are
We
those just for
should.
like,
We should. I mean, they're more promo giveaway, and I can't
yeah,
believe that we sent you the
yeah,
go long gold version and not the triple
yeah,
digit silver. I
yeah,
think they kind of they should know the name of
yeah,
your show. I'll take care of that for you, man. I'll get
yeah. I
some.
mean, I got
Get
the
some.
hat. I rock the hat all the time. I got the actually even my keychain, even my keychain's Miles Franklin.
You're a good
Everything.
man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you, dude. I do,
yeah,
and I'll hook you up. I'll get you some good stuff sent out.
yeah. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, and you said something real quick that's pretty interesting is how you can kind of be casual with me. Like our channel, I really do have like the best audience, man. It's crazy. Like they don't even watch. I mean, obviously I do a lot of research and bring a lot of insight, but a lot of people say they watch my channel just because how passionate I am about it and I'm very honest. You know, I'm not trying to just sit here and try to sell them something. You know, it's more of me doing this because I love silver, you know. And I really like that about my audience. But yeah, man, I definitely want one of those shirts.
I'll hook
Definitely.
you up. No, and you know
Yeah.
what? I don't pretend to be Peter Schiff either.
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah.
hard. It might be harder for people to distinguish that or separate it with me because I own a precious metals company, but I try and come across
No.
that way best I can. And I always say that there should be the ability for people to understand that you can own a business and try to do the right thing at the same time, that they don't need to be mutually exclusive of one another. It's the people who own a business and don't do the right thing that you should be leery of, not those that are trying to do the right thing. I mean, the amount of time I spend preparing and doing shows, I don't have a life, man. I really don't. I spend 3, 4 hours a day, every day, reading and preparing to do all of these shows. Yes, it builds my business, but after 35 years of doing this and over 12 billion in sales, I don't need to work as hard as I do, but I love it. And
Mm,
it's a passion for me, just as it is for you
yeah.
too. And um, but again, when I say to you, after someone who's been doing this longer than anyone, that I can be real in front of you, that's probably the biggest compliment I can pay you in terms of um, relationships, which have meant the world to me in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's the secret to my success, relationships. And, we've talked about that the first time that, you wanted me to make an introduction to David Morgan or Robert Kiyosaki, and I
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
and you know them now, but that's how relationships build. I wouldn't make that introduction to these guys if I didn't think that you were worthy of it. It's a lesson to learn in business that, you know, you never know um, how important the relationship you make today will be tomorrow. You never know what comes around the corner, but I will tell you that associating with good people and making that a priority to my business growth has really, I think, in many ways defined my success. So I think it's important for anyone out there who's trying to build a career, associate with good people that are aligned, and
Yeah.
that's how you learn. You learn from people who were there before you, and um, you never know. It's just good things happen. I'll give you a quick example, real quick. A buddy of mine who I golf with, he very successful guy, and we were talking about our kids in college. And my son went to the Ross School of Business in Michigan. He said, "Oh, so did his CFO, who's one of my really good friends. CFO being Steve Ross, who owns the Miami Dolphins, I believe, and is a very, very wealthy man. And the whole school, the whole business school in Michigan is named after him. And again, this is kind of diverging from what I was really talking about, but it's not. It's about relationships and taking the time to make them.
Mm.
You never know how important it is. So, anyways, his best friend growing up went to Ross. He's originally from like upstate New York or whatnot, and so he goes to Ross School of Business, and Steve Ross comes to speak, give a lecture, and he's sitting way up in the top of the rafters. And at the end of the lecture, he beelines down and goes and talks to Steve Ross. And only a handful of people actually did that, and he was one of them. And they get into a long conversation because here again, developing a relationship with people who you can learn from is very, very important, right? Well, he goes down there, starts talking to the guy. This is right around Christmas break, and Steve says, "You know, I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I gotta head home for the holidays. Where are you going for Thanksgiving?" He says, "Oh, I'm going back to see my family in New York." He says, "I'll tell you what, I got the plane gassed a mile away. Why don't you come with me? I'll bring you home. I'll fly you home." So he gets on. Steve Ross, who's a billionaire, gets on his airplane, and to this day, he is his CFO, making a fortune.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I know that really isn't the whole premise of what we were talking about, but it is in the respect of, you know, relationships make the
Yeah.
world go round. It's not just what you know, it's who you know. And if you never take the opportunity to build a relationship or say hello or whatever, um,
And
you never know. But to me, you and I, our relationship started out kind of in a very weird way. We've gone over this before where it could have gone south, right? Right from the get-go. But instead, you know, we took the time to get to know one another, and it's been a great experience, I guess is all I'm
yeah.
trying to say. I think you understand maybe more than the people listening to this what I mean by that. And
Yeah.
but
No.
anyways,
Well, well,
don't
one
mean to
last
wax
thing.
philosophical too much.
No, no, this is very important. And I mentioned this when I mentioned Miles Franklin, is when I say buy from Miles Franklin, like buy from Andy instead of buying from some big corporation, you're paying it forwards to the community because Andy cares. And I can attest to that when I was a broker, how many times he would look out for people, even if it costed us, you know? And like he says, 35 years, no negative complaints, because if we do make a mistake, he always makes it right. And building that relationship, because I do believe one day it's not going to be, oh, silver's too high, I'm not willing to pay that price. It's going to be, I can't even find it, even if I was willing to pay that price. So building those connections, buying from Andy,
Right.
building that relationship can go a
Mm.
long way. Um,
And I do think
so
that will happen. It's hard for
yeah,
people to get that because um, because the premiums are low and the availability is good. But when we talk about, dude, how much metal is coming off the exchange, and I've been saying this on your show now for quite some time, but when we look at just how much is coming, so the August contract went on the board August 1st, so people they can post their contracts and stand for delivery. Now, it's important to understand that how significant the numbers are that I'm about to tell you, because um, typically, typically, um, contracts. I used to say that you know 1% or less of contracts that are issued um, stand for delivery. Very few do.
right.
Most futures contracts, which are typically closed out before delivery or just traded for profit or settled in cash.
Yeah, settling cash.
When contracts are stopped, however, this is physical metal actually changing hands, but typically less than 1% of contracts ever stopped or stood for delivery. So the first 3 days of the contract, and we're now 5 or 6 days into it, but I have the first 3 days info here in front of me. In gold, 20,126 contracts stood for delivery. Now, the interesting thing is, remember what I said about the 1% of contracts that posted stand for delivery?
Mm.
Of the 20,126 contracts that stood for delivery, 20,126 contracts were posted. In other words, 100% of all of the contracts that were issued in gold stood for delivery in the first 3 days. Now, that's 2,126,000 ounces. So ask yourself, who's got all of that?
Right.
Who's standing for delivery for 7 billion in gold in
Right.
3 days? But these are numbers that we've seen over and over and over and over again. In silver, in the first 3 days, 1,064 contracts of silver, or 5.32 million ounces, stood for delivery. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is that most of, or a very large portion of the gold and silver is loading out. Loading out means bye-bye, leaving the COMEX, going somewhere else. But this is a trend that we've seen now going on since November, where every single month we're seeing massive deliveries. And the interesting thing about all of this, Jay, is that let's make a compare and contrast. Remember, and I may have mentioned this last week, but let's just update it now. We talk about misdirection a lot, you and I, and the art of war, and how the big money always positions itself ahead of everyone else. The one real delineation in the difference between, it's not even the wealth, right? The wealth between the big money and the little guy. That's a big difference. You have more freedom to do things, but largely in my mind, it's information. And the people that are doing this are very well informed, whoever they are, because the numbers of well north than $100 billion, in the last year, and since the beginning of the year, half a year, that we know of. I'm sure there's a ton coming in that isn't going through COMEX, that is being brought in by proxy bank or whatever directly into the vaults that are not COMEX. Could be massive amounts, but these people are very, 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 very well informed. So again, we look at where we are right now. I might have mentioned this with you, but there's a little bit of an update, and that is that currently in the equities market, we have all-time high margin debt, highest it's ever been. And when you have margin debt, in essence, what margin debt is you have 10,000 in your account, you can borrow 10,000. So half of your account is speculative. It is leveraged. If the price goes down, you get a margin call. You have to pay more money, or they liquidate your position. It's a speculative leveraged bet, and typically the higher the margin debt, the more speculative, frothy the market is. Well, it's all-time high margin debt of over $1 trillion by the public. You also have the largest allocation in the history of the stock market from the public right now, 54%, greater than the dot-com bubble. So you have all-time high participation by mom, pa, retail, and all-time high margin debt. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, about 99%, that is the premise of the Great Taking. Largely, a big part of it is that unless you expressly tell your brokerage, do not put my account on margin, when you sign up with a brokerage account, your account is on margin. It doesn't mean you're going to use it, but it also means they can use your stocks, pledge your stocks to others who want to borrow shares. And if they go broke, the brokerage has priority over you as the primary benefactor. So this is the Great Taking, where you're subordinate to the big bank or institution lending away your
important.
shares.
I always say,
But
if you can't
anyways,
hold it, you don't own it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. But so the bottom line is simply this: mom and pop retailer at the highest allocation to equities and the highest leverage to equities ever. Okay. And at the same time, they have virtually no allocation to precious metals physically. On the retail side, as premiums on everything are the lowest I've ever seen in my career, 35 plus years. On the other hand, since June 1st, Jeff Bezos has sold damn well near 6 billion in Amazon stock. Buffett's at 500 billion in cash. Three or four largest shareholders, board members of Nvidia are all dumping hundreds of billions each. Um, Jamie Dimon is selling. Zuckerberg is selling. The institutions, the hedge funds, are averaging between 2 and 4 billion a week since June of sales. So they're all leaving as the public is jumping all in. And at the
Right.
same time, as the public has no allocation to metals, you're seeing 2+ million ounces stand for delivery in the first 3 days, where 100% of every contract, over 20,000 of them, stood for delivery. In the first 3 days, you're seeing 5.3 million ounces of silver stand for delivery. What's it been since? I don't know. But you're talking 1,064 5,000 ounce contracts stand for delivery when less than 1% of contracts issued ever stood for delivery. So what you're getting at is a situation where I think the public is being misdirected in a massive way. And you can see it as the insiders go the polar opposite way in both of these markets. Food for thought, because what could possibly go wrong for the mainstream? And that's one of the things that I think I take away from the current environment
Mm.
that we are in. Let's see, what else are we going to talk about
I
today?
mean, imagine if even just like 1.5% of the gold market switches to silver, because gold is a much bigger market. I was covering an article about that the other day, and even if just like 1.5%, that could break everything, you know.
100%. And I was just reading the other day that there was data from the World Bank, and they're saying that China is purchasing massive volumes of silver directly from South American producers, such as Peru. Where have we heard that before? I've
Right.
been screaming that for the past several months, that they're buying doré and concentrate from the miners in Peru. But now this is big news from the World Bank, evidently.
And
Um,
Mexico's Fresnillo mine, their biggest silver mine, is down production, and Peru as well. So like we have the biggest silver miners, um, you know, that are it's like lower ore grade, all these and like some and Mexico's trying to nationalize silver too, their new president. So they're trying to keep it all for themselves as well. So,
as
you
they
know,
should. I think they nationalized nickel
exactly.
already, but as
Yeah.
they should. But look, when you see a country like China quietly stockpiling through unofficial channels, this is what I've been screaming about. And it's annoying that the World Bank comes out and makes it seem important, but I've been screaming about it for months. And and on all my podcasts, they're buying doré, they're buying concentrate, but what they're doing is they're helping short the price in the West, I believe, so they can buy it off of all of the channels, unofficial channels, whether it be directly from the miners or buying it off of exchanges where the price isn't determined by the demand like it is in COMEX or LBMA. So if you suppress the paper price in the West and then go and buy it all around the world, everywhere else at those stupid prices, you win. And I think
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. It enables them to purchase silver without affecting the spot market.
Mm.
But to me, this is what you would expect in the early stages of a commodity race, right? We've seen it already with the rare earths. This is what China is doing, and they're trying to secure supply chains before the geopolitical implications become more apparent to the world. Well, that's exactly what the hell they're doing with the metals here. And the people in the U.S. are they're too focused on what is the greatest tool of misdirection.
Mm.
What is it?
Price. No, price is the
That's
greatest tool in
right.
misdirection. Yeah.
They're too focused
Focused on
on
the
the
price.
price.
They're not
And
looking
the
at the bigger
price,
picture ahead.
the big
Yeah.
the bigger picture is that the people who know that everyone is only focused on the price, use the price to misdirect them to buy all over the world and pickpocket. See, the difference is that intuition or common logic would say, well, why not just buy all the shit? Go and buy it all. Well, if you do that, don't you think that everyone around the world is going to buy up everything? The Chinese are buying it all. Buy it up. Get it now. The price is going to skyrocket. Instead, lull them all to sleep with suppressed Western prices. Come in through proxy entities and buy everything from doré and concentrate from the miners in Peru. As Vince Lancy says, they're buying it from Mexico before it's even called silver. That
Yeah,
means they're
that's
buying
crazy.
doré and concentrate. They're buying the crudely refined bars that they fashion together that might be 30% silver and 70% horseshit. So then it has to be refined to 100%. They're buying the concentrate, the byproduct of it, and then whatever else they can buy from the miners in order to disintermediate the market. But they can do that off of exchanges around the world as well,
And
or
and
or private places.
and silver was 10.5% higher on the Shanghai. It was like $43 when silver over
What's
here,
that called? That's called
right?
arbitrage. They're doing it with
Yeah.
gold right now too. Big premium, huge premium in gold. I just saw it the other day and I don't remember what it is, but this is arbitrage. So I am the Shanghai Exchange and I look at you over in the West. I say, well, why don't I just like if I make a huge spread between the Western price and the Shanghai price, we can just use all of our excess dollar reserves and pay them back in their own horseshit currency, and we'll just take the metal. They'll ship it over, and they'll make the arbitrage, and they'll get rich in dollar terms, but we'll get rich in commodity terms, which will probably be the smarter choice. So that's what they do. They sucker them through a little bit of profit because the contracts are large numbers to trade it. And see that the mistake to I think that is being made is that for many years, stuff would go from east to west, west to east. They would go back and forth based upon price. It's not going to go back, right? It's going
Mm,
forth, ain't coming back. And
yeah.
so I think that's a problem. That same thing is true in London. You know, everyone sent their metal here because of tariff threats. Don't worry, it'll all come back someday. No, it's not going back. And I think
Mm.
the sooner that is realized by the rest of the world, the faster that we see the Western exchanges adapt. And I think the Western exchanges are on the last gasps of their relevancy. And you will see price setting in commodities move to Dubai, to Shanghai, to Moscow, to St. Petersburg, to the BRICS exchange, to the myriad of exchanges in the global south that understand and prioritize and properly, I think, value gold and silver. And I think the moral of the story is that the price and the value of gold and silver are worth far more than the dollar values or the
Yeah.
dollars that are being exchanged for them. So we'll see.
I want to share this. I want to share this with you real quick. This was really
Yeah.
interesting. What price will silver be by the end of the year? And I had four categories: $30, $40, $50, 100 plus. This has 2.8 thousand votes. 10% say 30, 36% say 40, 35% say 50, and 100 plus say 19%. I thought that was, and then I asked everyone to comment down below why
What?
they
Oh,
think this.
19% of 100 plus. Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is 2.8 thousand votes. So that's hundreds of people guessing, 100 plus. Like, but it was
well, you know,
interesting.
that makes this shirt a collector's item if that's the case. I don't know, dude. I
Yeah.
think it's
I think 40, like, I think like 43, like 43 or something, being real, like realistically what I think, be like
the banks are
43 to
saying
45.
4,000. Some of them are saying up to 4,000 by the end of the year. So if we take 4,000, let's divide it
Gold?
by 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that puts, I mean, if you take
It's 80.
4,000 divided by 50, you get 80. I mean, could
Yeah.
it be that high? Yeah,
Meaning,
why not?
yeah.
You know,
And
it's
folks,
way,
he's
well,
saying
let's
that
do
because
this.
the gold
Let's
to
do
silver ratio
4,000
being
divided
50
by
to 1, right?
Let's do 4,000 divided by 75. Let's do it where it is right
Because
now.
that's
Let's
what
do
the actual
4,000
ratio is. Yeah.
divided by 80. You're at $50.
Yeah. And if it
So,
breaks 50, then sky's the limit, right? If it breaks through 50, we would see 100 shortly after, and then it'd probably pull back down to like 75 or whatever. But yeah,
and
if
a lot of them like just revised to 3,600. I think 3,700, their price forecast for the next several months. So put it at 3,700 divided by 80, which is way, way higher than it should be.
Oh yeah, it
That's
should be like
46 and a
seven.
quarter.
It should be like 7 to 1, honestly.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, I think north of 40 is realistic.
yeah,
But getting caught up in these numbers is what I think drives people crazy because now we're
yeah,
falling prey to to what the what the big
the
players are
misdirection is.
using. That's right. They're tugging on your heartstring because they
Yeah,
know where it should be. They know where it ultimately will be. They know where you want it to be. And when it's not there when you think it will be, well, capitulation are the accumulator's best friends. So
that's that's why I tell people first you have to understand silver's true value to really, if you really want to invest into silver, you have to understand its true value, but even more importantly you have to understand the dollar's true value. And once you understand those two, you will not freak out if it goes down to 30 or whatever, because you're disconnected from this paper price, this fiat worthless piece of paper to silver's value, you know.
that's right.
A lot of people don't have that yet, and that's why they panic sell. But yeah.
That's so right. Totally. Totally. What else you been covering?
Um, we can go through some of my stuff. Oh, that'd be actually kind of fun to like look through my videos. Actually, I want to try something. I've never done this before. Um, So let me go to my channel because I cover so much stuff. It's insane. So the last one I covered was silver flying off the LBMA vaults. This one was
Egypt.
talking
Yep.
about the $300 billion blind spot through gold if 1.5%. This one was talking about JP Morgan purposely sinking the Titanic to cause to create the Federal Reserve because the three billionaires that were on board were opposing it. Some of them were from us, China,
And if that were
yeah,
actually
there's so
true,
much.
holy shit, the people, I
I
mean, the
know.
lengths at which people will
The
go to get
I
achieve
should
their means.
yeah, I want to actually show it's crazy. Hold on. I want to show you this article. Where's it at? Here, I'm gonna share it with you. This is insane. Okay, share. So this is this is the article talking about it. Uh So here, where's the part where they actually talk about the Titanic? So 1912, the Titanic sinks. On board, John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus, all wealthy, all opposed to the creation of a central bank. JP Morgan owned the ship. He canceled last minute. They didn't. The resistance sank. The system rose. And then he goes into this big conspiracy about the Titanic and what happened. And this is also interesting. Here's a nice chart of the purchasing power of the dollar from 1913 to 2019. Um, but yeah, I don't know how deep you want to go into it, but
No, I love it, man.
holy, yeah, this is. And who do you think wrote this?
I have no idea.
John Forrest Little.
Oh, did he really?
Yes. The goat, man. Everything. He hates Trump, by the way. Like, I don't care. He could love him or hate. He hates Trump, like, with a passion, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, that dude's a legend, though, man. Shout out to John Force Little.
He is a smart guy. He's a great
Yeah,
researcher. I'll give him that. No question
yeah,
about it. No question
yeah,
about it. I'll have to check
yeah.
that out. Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between conspiracy and reality, Jay. I mean, I think we all have learned that.
Mm,
You don't have, you could argue that a lot of people will say President Kennedy was killed for opposing the Federal Reserve, that he had already issued silver certificates, and yes, he wanted to pull out of the Vietnam War, which would hurt the military-industrial complex, but he also wanted to issue silver certificates in lieu of Federal Reserve notes. In other words, take the money creation power away from the Federal Reserve, give it back to the Treasury, and they didn't like that.
yeah,
So I think when you realize that this is a very, very powerful group of wealthy people that probably have the ability to shape narratives the way that they want, maybe the that blurred line between conspiracy and reality isn't so far-fetched. Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, the depths that people go. You could make an argument. I hate to even go down this road and probably get a bunch of shit for it, but you know, what were their motives behind the World Trade Center that we don't know? Did Building 7 really
That's
collapse from
yeah.
just fire? I hate even saying that stuff because I think if anyone who's ever watched the documentaries and then look at Building 7, which falls in a controlled demolition fashion with no collateral damage from the airplane, but just fire, that's not how a building on fire would
Yeah,
fall.
that
What was in
yeah.
that building? Wasn't it like IRS and Enron, all the Enron records and all sorts? I mean, so there's all sorts of, I don't know. I don't know how we went down
Yeah.
there, but I will just simply
Yeah,
say
it's
that
it's
not everything is
yeah.
as it seems.
Actually, one of my subscribers was a firefighter in that situation, and he like shared with me like personal pictures and his story. It was insane. But here's something I want to show you as well. So I covered this a couple weeks ago. Silver's moving out of a long shadow cast by gold, its precious metal sister, with hints of a new major buyer. Russia's central bank starting to influence the price, which has risen to a 14-year high. Data is scarce, but since Russia revealed a plan late last year to add silver for the first time to its state reserve fund, silver prices outperformed gold. I think it's pretty interesting that as soon as Russia starts joining board as well, which by the way, you already have India buying massive amounts, you already have China buying massive amounts, you have Russia as well, right? Like every country in the BRICS now focusing on silver. Um, but
Well, yeah,
uh,
and now whoever is doing it here in the United States, I mean, this is why the inevitability of price appreciation, it will break free from the suppression that has been done forever. And it's been done for reasons. I mean, it's been done specifically to enrich the military industrial complex so they can make weapons and high tech aircraft and sell it all around the world. And I mean, it's not because of price they're trying to hold it down. They don't care about the price. Silver is inelastic. The amount of silver used in every gadget is a tiny component of a much higher
yeah,
price thing, whether it be 500 ounces in a $10 million missile or, or, you know, 20 bucks worth in a $1,500 phone. Okay, so 500 becomes 3,000. It goes up 6 times in a $10 million missile. Big deal. So it's 10 million, 3,000 now. And for the phone, if you have, 10 bucks worth of silver or $5 worth of silver in a $1,500 phone, okay, it becomes 30.
right,
Big deal.
right.
That's what inelastic means. It means you need it and you can't really get it real quick as substitute. And you can't go make silver like you can. Like corn is probably the most elastic commodity where you can go plant another
Grow.
field. Wheat,
Yeah,
wheats and corns and grains are very elastic. Silver's inelastic. You need it. It's a small component, a small price component of a larger cost good, but it's the only thing that works the way you need. And so, it's not about price. It's about um, it's about if everyone understood it. I saw an article the other day on Reddit or something that if everyone in the world bought 1 ounce of silver, there'd be nothing left. Okay, so
that's crazy.
if it's about scarcity, and if everyone understood the real value, then they'd rush out to get it. Instead, they use price as the greatest tool of misdirection, and it is the accumulation. You see, the futures contracts allow such leveraged positions, such leverage influence that they can short the hell out of it in the West and drive the paper price down, where you have millions and millions and millions and millions of ounces short, naked, back, unbacked by anything, short on the exchange to drive the paper price down, so that
Did you
they can
see
achieve
this?
their goal.
This is David Bateman's $1 billion worth of
Yeah,
1,000 ounce
yeah,
COMEX bars.
yeah,
That is so nuts.
yeah. I hope he
Like
can hang on long enough.
that is I honestly can't fathom how much that like I've never even held a 1,000 ounce bar. Like that's that takes like a warehouse and lots of security. That is
Oh, I should show
insane.
you some pictures of the vaults that I've been in through our BRICS programs
That
throughout
would be
the world,
awesome.
and
Yeah, that would be so
they'd
cool.
freak out if I posted them.
I want to see
But
some silver mines too.
I can send you I can send some pictures and kind of I'll
Yeah,
send some pictures
that
that
would.
you can
I
even
want to
post probably.
visit.
You just can't say where they came from.
Yeah, I want to visit some silver mines too. Um, I think that
Yeah,
would be
well,
pretty
because
cool.
silver is epithermal in nature, meaning close to the surface, you'd probably just see it when you go to these mines.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be difficult to see some of those deposits pretty close to the surface. You know how they use misdirection, not just of price, but they do it of information.
right. Of
You
course.
know that Trump um, fired the lady at the BLS because he didn't like the numbers that she put out. But the BLS should be bullshit. It shouldn't be BS. It should BLS should
Hmm.
BS. Like you know the inflation numbers. If people understood, if inflation was reported correctly, there's no way anyone would buy a long-term bond at 4 or 5%.
Right.
But if you can convince the market that inflation is just 2%, then a 3% inflation adjusted return looks pretty good. And so, you know, we all know that the CPI, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, is a lie, and it understates inflation tremendously. If steak is too expensive, they'll substitute it with hamburger because no one would eat steak if it got too expensive. Last year in April, coffee was way too expensive. It was up 85%, so they replaced it, I think, with tea. They're doing things like that to keep the price, the inflation protected bonds, the tips, or any of the inflation adjusted numbers um, that the Fed is important to the Fed and their mandate, they blur, they lie about. Well, listen to this. Let's see here. Back in let's see, June 6th, Friday, June 6th, BLS reported that the U.S. had added 144,000 new jobs in May. That's what they said. So did I start that story too soon? No, that's right. So it says back in Friday, June 6th, the BLS reported that the U.S. added 144,000 new jobs in May. Stocks rallied and the gold price fell by 28 bucks. I don't know what silver did on June 6th, but I'm sure it got killed. On Thursday, July 3rd, the BLS reported that the U.S. added 147,000 new jobs in June. Stocks rallied and the gold price fell by $17. So let me say that one more time. June 6th, BLS reported that the U.S. added 144,000 new jobs in May. Stocks rallied and the gold price fell by 28. Thursday, July 3rd, the BLS reported that the U.S. added 147,000 new jobs in June. Stocks rallied and the gold price fell by $17,000. The problem, it was all bullshit. And you have to ask yourself, when I tell you the real numbers, how much would the markets have rallied in the other direction? Would the stock
Hmm.
market have collapsed? Would gold and silver have gone crazy? Answer is yes, because so we find out a few days ago that the jobless rate rose to 4.2%. And the non-farm payroll would only increase, those numbers only increased um, by 73,000 jobs. We added 73 that we know of now. We'll probably revise them, but that's less than all economists had forecast. And so Trump fires this lady. But that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is the revisions to the prior 2 months. Okay. So remember what I told you, the 147,000 and 144,000. They revised, check this out. Where's the number? Okay. The BLS revised the May increase of 147,000 jobs to just 19,000.
Wow.
So no, we didn't add 147,000 jobs 3 months ago. It was actually 19,000.
Yes.
And then they reported the June increase of 144,000. They revised that to 14,000. So for the month of May and June, when these numbers came out in June and July, um, gold hammered, markets went way up. They told us they added 291,000 jobs in those 2 months. They only added 33,000.
Wow. How
And
illegal is
so,
that?
well, I mean, that's the point. And I mean, here's another example. So, like for the unemployment numbers, they don't account for 100 million working age people in this country who don't have a job in the unemployment numbers, um, because full-time jobs are disappearing at an alarming rate, as they say. It's true. Um, and it's funny, they count the part-time jobs as job growth in these massage numbers. So unemployment and inflation are lied about. What is the dual mandate of the Federal Reserve? Stable employment and stable prices. So in other words, inflation and unemployment, they lie like shit about both of them. And so everything is a lie. Everything is misdirection. This is
That's
why ultimately the truth found in physical ownership of gold and silver in your own possession is becoming so important to the big money in this world, because we've lost our credibility. We weaponize the dollar in the treasury market. We did this to Russia, yet 22 years later, we're still in Iraq after invading them for false pretenses and destroying their country and toppling their regime. We're still there occupying them. We're not trusted by a lot of the world. They look at our numbers as being a lie. They look at the shit that happened the last 4 years with election integrity and two-tier justice, wokeness, lawlessness, immigration, all that shit. They look at the fact that now we're being very confrontational and imposing more tariffs and doing all of these things, yet we're broken, we're insolvent. And we're 200 trillion in debt when you factor in the unfunded liabilities. And then we can't even believe the numbers that come out of your BLS and then Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then when someone reports something, if the president doesn't like it, they're fired. And I think the whole thing is crazy, but these are the reasons why people should own gold and
yeah,
silver more than anything.
it's
So, and
critical.
it is, dude. It truly is. It truly is. One last thing, and then I'm going to let you go because we're getting late. Remember we talked about the M Bridge and how it had connected to these Asian countries?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was when the story started to get interesting. When they said we've called it the change it from M Bridge to BRICS Bridge, and China connected 11 Asian countries and 5 Middle Eastern countries. This was about a month ago. And then Sergei Lavrov said we're going to open it up to the whole world, just not the West. We're going to open up both BRICS Pay, which is the B2B, it's the consumer retail side, and we're going to open up BRICS Bridge to all of the countries. BRICS Bridge is central bank to central bank. BRICS Pay is B2B and consumer to bank and retail. Anyways, you're talking 90% of the world. It's just not compatible with the dollar, the pound, and the euro. But I mentioned the significance at the time of that they had connected this new infrastructure to 11 countries in Southeast Asia, the ASEAN, ASEAN, 5 Middle Eastern countries. So, anyways, that was significant to me, right? Well, there was an article that just came out this week by Forbes, and Forbes points out that China is now just the third largest trade partner for the United States. China is now just the third largest trade partner for the U.S., a distant third behind Mexico and Canada. In the month of May, China was less than 6% of U.S. trade, which was the lowest level in over 20 years. However, the Asian countries, ASEAN, together, they have a population twice as large as the United States, over 700 million people. Here's the kicker. Well, these are also some of the fastest growing consumer markets in the world with a fast growing middle class. And this group of countries, here it is now China's largest trading partner by far, way ahead of the European Union and the United States. So they're connecting BRICS Bridge and BRICS Pay to these countries. They're already connected, fully integrated, where they can trade with one another across this bridge platform in 7 seconds instead of the 3 to 5 days of SWIFT. 98% reduction in fees, no SWIFT interference. SWIFT won't even know that they're doing this. And because the Shanghai Metals Exchange already completed its vault in Hong Kong and now building one in Saudi Arabia as we speak, they can settle yuan directly in those exchanges for gold, don't have to convert to dollars. So you see how this is working? I trade with you. Okay, I'm China, you're Saudi Arabia. I buy your oil, you give me your oil, you got my yuan, you send it to the Shanghai Metals Exchange and get physical gold, or to your new vault that's being built as an extension of the Shanghai Metals Exchange in Saudi Arabia. And no one knows about it in the West, and it settles like that, and the SWIFT can't interfere, kick you out, sanction you, block you, none of it. Well, now you got 38% of global GDP, and they're expanding both BRICS Pay and BRICS Bridge right now to the Belt Road Initiative. So all of this stuff is starting to expand. It's not just what's happening at home, it's what's happening around the world. I'm watching it all. I'll keep you all informed best I can, but it's not just one. That's just one half of the puzzle. What's happening here? A lot of what's happening here is reacting to what's happening there, and I'll keep trying to figure it out best I can. But the bottom line is that the countries that they connected first are now by far their largest trading partner, China. The significance of their moves should not be understated. They are calculated with laser precision. Everything they're doing is for a reason. They think in terms of years and decades. We think in terms of seconds and minutes. And that will be the downfall of a lot of people instead of having a bigger picture, a bigger mind, a bigger view on the world rather than just looking through a pigeonhole or through a, what's it called? The peephole when you open up and look through the door. It's like you have to have a bigger picture. Anyways, crazy. I'll let you go, bro. I will see you next week.
Every week.
Yeah, next week will be Tuesday because I'm out of town Wednesday. So I'll see you next week, Tuesday. And you stay well, brother. You look good.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for chatting. Man. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you remember, folks, Miles Franklin, that's the way to go. Support people like Andy that does all this. Don't just buy from some big corporation. Our prices are just as good, if not better anyway, so it's not like you're missing out. info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Slayer sent you. Make sure you subscribe. Click the bell so you get notified when I post as well. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Folks, I'm so excited to announce that I've partnered with American medical experts whose purpose is helping veterans get the medical benefits that they truly deserve. Over 17 million veterans aren't receiving their full benefits, and if this is you or someone you know, then act now. American medical experts are offering free consultations through our med team to see how we can help. The med team offers board-certified doctors who have experience working with the VA, comprehensive medical evidence for services like mental health as well. Some of these include your Nexus letter, your DBQs, your TDIUs, your AAs, and more. I want to personally thank American medical experts for helping veterans, but also giving me an opportunity to help veterans as well. Click the link in the description or the pinned comment to get a free consultation through our med team. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless.